significant that now Giuliani, so-called America's mayor, has been indicted along with Trump as being part of this racketeering enterprise and being sort of his main wingman, and many other attorneys, including his White House chief of staff back in January 2021, Mark Meadows. A lot of people thought he might have made a deal. Apparently not, because he got charged along with the other 19 in total.
David Katz is a former US assistant attorney and someone who we often turn to make sense of the strange legal and political world of Donald Trump. Good morning to you, David.
Great to be with you.
Can you just explain? I feel that there are people listening who may have lost track of what Donald Trump is accused of now. This is the fourth criminal charge this year, as we said earlier. But this seems to be a little bit different. Can you just explain to us?
Well, yeah, let me get to this fourth one in just a second. Okay, so the first one was that he generated these phony records along with his then attorney, Michael Cohen, to hide paying hush money to a porn star. And a lot of people thought, oh, my God, all these years of investigation, this is what it's come down to. But that was just the first one. The second one was the one where he had 30 or so, or even more, top secret national security documents that he took from the White House, wrongly kept, didn't give back, filed false certifications with yet other lawyers. I'm getting to the point about the lawyers. The third case is the one in Washington, D.C. That was the one where he took all of these actions, 3 different conspiracies allegedly, to hold on to power, knowing that he'd lost. It was clear that he would lost. His White House lawyers were telling him he lost. He went and found some oddball attorneys who had these theories of why he supposedly won, but he was charged in our federal courts in the capital, Washington, D.C., with only that. He was the only defendant. Now, this fourth one picks the state of Georgia in particular, and he had a tremendous effort in Georgia, as well as what we call other swing states, the states that actually were close and decided the election. And he hoped to get these dominoes falling. He hoped that if he could get Georgia, which he'd only lost by about 12,000 votes, if he could, inveigle, pressure, coerce the Republican officials down there. You see, his advantage in Georgia was that they were Republican officials, so he thought he could push them. He was wrong. Even though they were Republicans, they did their duty. That was the governor down there who wouldn't go along with him in December. And then there was the Secretary of State down there who he called on January 2nd, just 4 days before the invasion of the Capitol, the insurrection. Just 4 days before that, Trump himself called down there and is on tape saying, find me 11,780 votes. He said that to the Republican Secretary of State. It was clear from the context he meant concoct them, be a fellow Republican, do this scam for me. And the Republican Secretary of State not only said no, but has a tape to prove it. And that's what this case kind of centers around, that there was supposedly a racketeering enterprise.
Yes.
And that Trump was the head of a racketeering enterprise along with 18 others.
Right. Which I suppose makes this seem slightly different. We always look at any charges against Donald Trump in the context of what will happen in the future should he become US president again, and how the charges kind of coexist along with any particular punishment should he be found guilty, and should he become American president again. So what does this batch of charges, how would they play out?
Well, I think it's hard for people in other countries to understand how polarized this country is. And so the base that supports Trump actually it enhances his support. He's actually gained support, even though he's been called to count for these charges, both 2 federal rounds of indictments and also now 2 state rounds of indictments. How it would affect things, in some sense, this is the most powerful charge because there can't be a pardon. The president has a right to pardon federal crimes, including apparently himself. So Trump or one of his allies, if they came to power, would likely pardon Trump in both of the federal cases. But because this is a state case, a different jurisdiction, Trump does not have the power, even if he came to be president again, to pardon this. I think he's telling his allies, his co-defendants in this new case, look, let's all stick together. or his media. He has this way of sending out the message to the people where it's not something that you can necessarily prove. But I think he's giving assurances. Let's all hang together, or we'll surely hang separately. And if I somehow get the presidency back, I'll make it all go away, including I'll figure out a way to make this Georgia state case go away. But it's quite significant that now Giuliani, so-called America's mayor, has been indicted along with Trump as being part of this racketeering enterprise and being sort of his main wingman. And many other attorneys, including his White House chief of staff back in January 2021, Mark Meadows. A lot of people thought he might have made a deal. Apparently not, because he got charged along with the other 19 in total.
Okay. Amazing stuff. David, thank you very much. That's David Katz, former US Assistant Attorney. Of course, as I said before, Trump and his supporters have said that the charges are politically motivated. We'll have more on that throughout the programme.